हेलो गाइस, दिस इज शिवांश। वेलकम टू माय चैनल। आज हम लोग बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग टॉपिक के ऊपर बात करेंगे। क्या होगा अगर ₹1 $1 के इक्वल हो जाए?
पैसा ही पैसा होगा।
What will happen if ₹1 becomes equal to $1? To know this, we have to understand the conversion rate between two currencies is known as exchange rate. Mainly, there are three types of exchange rate. First, floating exchange rate. Second, fixed exchange rate. And third, managed exchange rate. Floating exchange rate means that the exchange rate of the currency keep on changing based on the supply and the demand in the market. Floating exchange rate market की supply और demand के साथ change होता रहता है.
अरे कहना क्या चाहते हो?
How does it change?
Let's take an example. Suppose you live in America and I live in India. We grow different types of crop in our country. You grow potatoes in your country and I grow green chilies. Both of us create our currencies. You make dollars if you grow 100 potatoes. So you have $100 and I make rupees if I grow 100 green chilies. So I have 100 rupees. We decided that the conversion rate or exchange rate of our currencies would be 1:1. So $100 should be equal to 100 rupees. After few days pass, now you grow 200 potatoes instead of 100. I grow 200 green chilies, but some green chilies spoiled due to rain. So I have 100 green chilies. Suddenly the value of your currency has increased. आपके पास अभी भी $100 है. The money remains the same. So for me, the value of one potato has become $2. Now the ratio is 1:2. If you want to exchange it with me, the value of $1 has become equal to 2 rupees.
समझ रहे हो?
Suppose you grow 1000 potatoes instead of 100. You also learn to make chips with the potatoes and the third person comes. He buy chips but you tell him that if you want to buy chips so it can bought $4. So he will buy dollar first, which will enable him to buy your chips. If we buy dollars instead of rupees, it will drive up the value of dollar even more. He will think when he will be back for more chips, he had to need more dollars. So it had be better to buy some dollars before. वो चौथे पर्सन के पास जाएगा और उसे बताएगा कि वो आपके देश से डॉलर से चिप्स खरीद सकते हैं. फोर्थ पर्सन भी इसे खरीदना पसंद करेगा, इसीलिए वे कुछ डॉलर भी खरीदेंगे. When everyone would want to buy it, the demand for the dollar will rise and this will push its value as well, like it normally happens with the other things in the market. So in this way, with the fluctuation in the supply and the demand, the value of the currencies fluctuate as well. Today everyone wants to buy US dollar. That's why its value is so high. This is one of the many reasons. There are other reasons behind the fluctuation of supply and the demand as well. Second type of exchange rate is fixed exchange rate. Fixed exchange rate means that the government controls the exchange rate or the conversion rate of the currency. And the third type of exchange rate is managed exchange rate. Some countries say that they will allow the fluctuation in the value of the currencies based on the changing supply and demand in the market, but only to a limit. They will set limit that the value of the currency cannot fluctuate more than 1 to 4%. So in this system, exchange rate is neither fixed nor free. In reality, there are many reasons for the fluctuation in the value of the currencies. Unemployment rate, inflation rate, the GDP of a country, the manufacturing activities in a country, how is the export and import of a country. All of these things affect the currency exchange rate. It is interesting to know that the most of the countries had fixed exchange rate. Before the 1970s, even in India, when our country got independence in 1947, then $1 was actually equal to 1 rupee. It was a time when the value of a dollar and the rupee were truly equal.
But why did rupee get devalued after it?
Around the 1950s, the government spent a lot of money on the development of the country, but it did not earn as much. So the government took several loans from the other countries, and since the government did not have enough money to repay the loan, the government devalued the rupee.
How does it work?
Suppose I took a loan of 1000 rupees from you
अच्छा.
and spent all of it. मेरे पास 250 rupees ही बचे हैं. So how will I repay the loan when I don't have 1000 rupees? But remember this, I can control rupee. I can control the value of rupee because I am Indian government. So what I do is I start printing more money. If I print more money, its supply will increase, and if the supply of the money increase, the value of the currency will fall. I print so much money that 100 rupees now has the same value rupees 10. It's been devalued so much, so the rupees 250 then it have been 2500 overnight. And then I repay 1000 rupees to you out of the 2500 rupees. Effectively paying off the loan. This is how the devaluation of the currency works. Now let's talk about
what would happen if 1 rupee will equal to $1 now.
It cannot happen, but let's imagine a hypothetical situation.
क्या होता अगर ये सच होता?
First, import prices would be very cheap too. Second, petrol could be purchased by the country for a fraction of the cost. After everything I told you till now, You might be think that our life be so much better if 1 rupee were equal to $1. That would be a good thing, right?
अभी मजा आएगा ना भिड़ो.
But now comes the reality. If 1 rupee actually does become equal to $1, it would also means that no foreign investment will come to India, or a negligible amount of the foreign investment might come because the foreign companies that want to invest in India, because उन्हें cheap labor यहाँ पे मिलता है. It is much cheaper to employ people in India as compared to employ people in Western countries. So the companies see that they need to pay $20,000 per year to employing an American, and they will need to pay the same salary for employing an Indian. What will be the increment to invest in India? वे अपने देश के लोगों को काम पे रखेंगे या फिर दूसरी कंट्री में जाएंगे जहाँ पे cheap labor मिलता हो. In India, approx 60% of GDP contribution is from the service sector, and the service sector provides employment of 32% of Indians. And what exactly is that service sector? It is formed mainly of the IT sector. The foreign companies that have office in India or have set up call centers and employed so many of pupils in the IT sector, it will because very expensive for these companies to maintain these $1 become equal to 1 rupee. The salary of Indian employee will become very expensive for them to bear. They will shut down their office and will leave the country. All the people that are employed in IT sector will suddenly be unemployed. This will lead to large scale unemployment in the country as well as economic crisis.
I have a question. Is truly beneficial for the country to make rupee stronger, or will a weaker rupee will more beneficial for the country?
It is no easy to answer this. Normally, the countries that are export oriented prefer to keep their currency weak, like China, because it will be cheaper for other country to buy Chinese goods. On the other hand, the import oriented country will prefer to have a stronger currency like India, because if India import oil, so it will be cheaper for India.
What is India's stand? Is India import or export oriented?
In truth, India is import-oriented country, but India is unique position. The things that India export are the one to being in the majority of the economic growth and the majority of the employment to the people. That is service sector or IT sector. That's why for economic growth, India prefers that the rupee remains weak. In fact, some economists argue that India should further devalue rupee so that the economic growth in the service sector could grow even more. If we get exponential growth in the service sector, our economic growth will rise.
को एक साथ लाने का टाइम आ गया. ऐसे हो गए एक, बन गई ताकत, आ गई हिम्मत. एक साथ जुड़ेंगे तो बड़ा काम कर पाएंगे.
What should be done then?
There are few things on which the majority of experts agree. First, India should reduce its import dependency on the oil because India import a lot of oil from other countries. It is very expensive and increase the expenditure by a lot. Second, the industries in India should be promised and it should happen in a broad variety of sectors so that India's export dependency on the IT sector is reduced. Third, the value of the currency that is on the currency exchange board does not matter much. It can be changed. So the value of the currency should be compared with its value in the past. Fourth, economic growth and the development in the country have a negligible connections with the currency exchange rate. There are few countries whose currency are strong and they are developed, like America, but there are also countries like Japan that have a very weak currency. Compare the Japanese currency with Indian currency, a weaker than Indian rupees. But does that mean that Japan is not a developed country? Absolutely not. Japan is very high developed country. It is much more developed than India. It shows us that the currency strength is not a significant indicator for the development of the country.
मजा आया.